All right, so let's talk economics. So first, I want to start off with all my young black kids in college. So if you are an artist, if you are someone who draws, if you are someone who's just good with their hands and they're creative, I recommend that you go on these websites like Etsy and things like that, and you sell your creations. Create a market for yourself, brand yourself. If you do art, you can sell that. If you make little knickknacks of that nature, you can sell those. If you make arm bracelets, T-shirts, or whatever, just like we get refunds while we're in college, right? So if you're getting a refund, save half of that refund. Start a business with some of that money. Take some of that money to a black bank and, start a savings account so that you help out, other black people in their business endeavors. When you're in your community, go into a black store, find that black supermarket, and, even if you got to go out of your way, go and support it. Because, all we're really doing is giving our money back to everybody else, but we're not getting that income back of money. Like, black people are the biggest buyers in America, but we barely, if anything, sell. You get what I'm saying? So again, when you get that refund money, start a little business. Find out how you can make small investments. Again, go to that black bank, start a savings account. Start a life savings. Like you're in college, and when you graduate, you're gonna have to start paying down loans. But if you have a life savings, you could be able to still, get an affordable home. Pay down your loans as well. You'll have a good starter once you graduate. So think about if you're a freshman, right? And you start a savings account, you just keep putting money to it, whether it be $5 a week every time you get paid, whatever. Just think about when you graduate in 4 years, you're gonna have a good amount of savings and interest rates and stuff that that adds to your money. So you gotta think longevity with your refunds. I for one, when I the first time I got a refund, I just spun all this money and bought all the stuff I wanted to buy. And I blew through it. And I realized, you didn't do anything with that money. So, and I went to like when I was in high school, we had majors, and my major was business, and we had an excellent business teacher. Shout outs to Miss Daniel. She was an excellent business teacher. So I'm like, how did I forget? Like she taught us things like how to write checks, how to invest, what to do with your money, like the stock market stuff. Like she taught us all of that. So I know all of this stuff. And the sad thing that I think is I'm like, how did you forget all of this? And you've been taught all of this stuff. And for my black adults, if you have a job, again, you have your 401ks and stuff like that, put some of that money into black banks, start supporting black, supermarkets. And you yourself, if you have a dream, something that you would like to do, something you want to get done, maybe you want to write a book, you could start a chill. Like if you're a writer, for example, like I'm a writer, you could start a children's series. You could, have someone who does illustration, find a black person who draws, and have them do the pictures for you. That's a partnership. That way, they're making money off of their drawings, and you're making money off of your writing. You know, so team up. With a trusted black person, team up. Create a squad. To where everybody is doing something that benefits them and their community, and the neighborhoods in which they come from. Because I feel like when you leave off and you go to college, don't forget about your neighborhoods and where you came from and the schools that you went to and the kids that's there behind you. Because that there are people that always fall behind and get left behind, by circumstance. But if you were able to make it out and make it to college, make sure you give back, come back and talk to, black children in schools and start young. Go to elementary schools, shit, go to pre-K, just talk to kids. We should start taking kids on college sprees. We should start taking kids to, blacks museums, all over the country, so that they get a feel for their history and who they are. And that has to start young because when they're in school, we already know what they're teaching them. They're not teaching them about black inventors. They're not teaching them about black business people. They're not teaching them about black politicians and things of that nature. Even though we have all of these great things, we are learning about them. So, again, when it comes to black economics, when you're in your community, support that black business so that, it becomes the number one business in the community. Go out of your way and go to that black supermarket. Take your money and put it into your black banks because, that's how we'll build economic base within each other. Like, just think about it. If everybody in every black community all across America started putting their money and funding it back into their own community, just think of how rich and how prosperous our communities would just fly right up. I'm telling you, it's all purely based economics. Purely based economics. But I'm finally starting to get back to me. And there's a reason why I wasn't me for a while, and I'll talk about that, in a later video. But as it comes to economics, especially for young black kids, and even like I said, even adults, whatever it is that you like to do, whatever, everybody has a niche. So if you buy sneakers all the time, find out how you can get into the sneaker making business. Find out if you can style a sneaker and have that sold. If you're into hats, find out if you can start your own hat brand. If you're into buying labels, start sewing. You might be able to come up with some fashions yourself. Take stuff you may not wear anymore, start putting things together. There are a lot of things you could do to make money, but the number one rule in America is to be a seller and not always a buyer. Because when you're a buyer, you're just giving your money out. You're not making any money. If you're just spending money and spending money and spending money, but you're not making money, that's a problem. should have multiple accounts. You should have multiple savings accounts. Even if you got to work those 2 jobs, I feel like, that hard work will pay off. And if you need financial advice, especially when it comes to black men and women, I advise you to watch videos by Dr. Claude Emerson. He's an economic professor. He is intelligent as hell. He knows what he's talking about, and he definitely knows how to put you back on the right economic track. So again, if we want our black communities to succeed, we want our black communities to thrive, and we don't want to depend on the government, for assistance, even though we don't really. But if we don't want to depend on the government for assistance, we have to start supporting our people. We have to start, doing better things with our money, and that goes for everybody, myself included. I just started doing these things, like, I restarted my life savings account. I have multiple accounts. You worked at 2 jobs, and I'm working on getting into cooking school and things of that nature. So I just think that, whatever you do and whatever you do, make sure that you're making money in America, because we live in a capitalistic society, we live in a capitalistic country, and everybody is capitalizing off of our neighborhoods and our people and our children. But we aren't capitalizing off of shit. The only thing that we capitalize off is, our artistry, music and stuff like that. You may have a few black clothing brands and lines out, but for the most part, we aren't really capitalizing on even our own creation. So again, take your black creations, capitalize off it, and put that money back into your community and just see how shit would change.